Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
So I've been to Italy. I've been to and these are all personal travels: Germany, Italy, London, England. I've been to Istanbul. My first international trip was to Quito, Ecuador. I've been to meet the Pope, Pope Francis.
You've met him?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was part of the part of a trip to ask the Pope to repeal the papal bulls, which were passed. There's three of them, and they're the basis for terra nullius and doctrine of discovery, which are important legal principles in common law
Mm.
that basically stripped us of our rights. And the agreement was that, and the first papal bull was passed about 502 years ago. So we went to the Pope and asked him. It's one of the calls, 94 calls to action with the reconciliation agreement or the report that came out. And we approached the Pope and we said we'd like a private audience, and we want him to officially apologize as the head of the Roman Catholic Church
Mm-hmm.
for stripping away our language, culture, and history, because they had a big role here in Canada in hurting us irreparably as Indigenous people. We want him to apologize to us because he's the head of the most powerful church in probably in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're a big corporation. So we went to him and we went to Archbishop Tomasi, who was the second command. And the first step we asked him for two things: an apology and for them to repeal the papal bulls. And those would be symbolic because the agreement between the church and the state of the day was that um, this the European countries that came to the New World, they needed to cover the church, so they drafted the papal bulls, and the papal bulls agreement was the European countries would get the land, and the church would get our souls,
Mm.
because in church ideology, when you're not baptized, you don't have a soul. You're just like an animal in the woods. That's how they saw us. That's how they justified stripping away our title and our rights, which is
Yeah.
wrong in every sense of the word.
In every sense of the word, it
Absolutely.
actually, it even goes. I mean, I know a lot of the doctrine. I've read a lot of the book, so it actually goes against the doctrine itself. But what was it? I've actually never met anybody who's met the Pope. So what is that?
I don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah. What is that experience like? I mean, you're obviously there for a purpose.
It's
It's not a quick.
incredible.
It's not a quite. No, it's not a meet and greet. You're actually there for a purpose.
Yeah.
What's that experience like? I mean, was
It was
this
the
in
most
the Vatican?
powerful. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
most powerful experience in my life, and we used we did a lot of work prior. So I was in Geneva, and we met with the Holy See a year prior to going to the Vatican. And the Holy See is an official representative at the UN Assembly for Indigenous Peoples in Geneva.
Mm.
And I remember going over there and getting off the plane and wondering, what the heck am I doing here in this country? and and I jump off and I get on the local bus and I'm going to my place where I B&B'd, and everything's in French, and I'm lost. So I asked lots of questions. I get to my Airbnb place, and I don't even know how to operate the locks in the door in Europe. So I'm standing outside the door, and this woman who lives next door to the Airbnb place, she takes a key and she shows me how to open the door. I mean, there's just so much. It was a huge adventure. Just
Yeah.
a huge adventure. But meeting the Pope was one of the biggest and best experiences of my life, because he's such a big. He's a world renowned figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is so much impact for him when he makes public announcements about alleviating the situation for poor people in the world. You would think it'd be an easy thing for him to talk about an apology to our people, but when you start to admit that you did something wrong, then that's when you have to do something about
You
it.
have a responsibility.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
reparation that needs to be done legally and otherwise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
morally,
Mm-hmm.
you know. and as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a Roman Catholic. I was baptized, and I have a hard time going against that doctrine. But my Indigenous self says I have to, because I went there to honor my memory of my mom and dad who went through that residential school.
Yeah.
And they didn't teach us my language because it was beaten out of them. It was beaten out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, I clearly remember him saying, and my mom, we don't want you to learn Sohapamstin, which is my language, because it has no use in the modern world. And that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That really hurt. And that wasn't my parents speaking. That was the priest speaking. They were such jerks to us and horrible. Just treated us horrible. They treated us like animals. Sexually abused us, mentally, physically, spiritually. Any of those abuses, and every one of those abuses. Horrible, horrible time in Canadian history.
Mm-hmm.
So we went there to ask the Pope to do something about a couple of important things for us. And I had a resolution from the Assembly of First Nations supporting me to be there. And that's from all 630 chiefs from across Canada. And I had a letter from the National Chief, Perry Bellegarde, that talked about, what we wanted to do and supported what we were doing there.
Yeah.
It was really an incredible experience.
Was there a dialogue with him, or was it a meeting and sort of presenting?
No,
with something?
he's a figurehead.
Exactly.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
And the real work is with Archbishop Tomasi. So we did all that advance work to set up that meeting. It wasn't until the night before we used the staging area in Florence. We had an estate there, and some people who were working with us from Italy gave us a place to visit and do strategy and all this other stuff. It wasn't until the night before, and we actually ran Sweat Lodge in Italy.
The Pope, did the Pope come for that?
Oh God, no! I think it's against his ideology. It's a competing religion, not even a religion, but a spiritual understanding.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't expect that, but and I know you're kidding, but it wasn't until actually the night before that we confirmed that we're going to have a private audience with the Pope. But the real work was with Archbishop Tomasi behind the walls of the Vatican. And one of the guys that was with us, we had a delegation made up of North American leaders. We even had a representative from the Mapuche people in Chile. And when we met with Archbishop Tomasi, we wanted to assert ourselves, and we said, we want to start this meeting out in a good way. Typical for us, as Indigenous people, we say a prayer to start out our meetings. And Chairman Jode Gowdy from Yakima tribe, just across the line in Washington State, he started singing a prayer song in his language, which is what the church was trying to take away from us. So it was a real statement. But as part of the way that they sing their songs, they don't use a hand drum; they use a bell. And he struck it 9 times. Every time he struck that bell, you could feel the foundations of the Vatican just shaking. I'm not lying. It was an incredible moment in my life, and something that I'll cherish forever. So we went and met with him. It took a couple of years of work with some of the people that I've befriended over the years. And when we were leaving the meeting with Archbishop Tomasi, I said to Archbishop, went up to him and I said, "Thank you for the meeting." And I grabbed his hand and I said, "I'm not going to let your hand go until you agree to meet with us again." And he started laughing and he thought I was joking. And I said, "I'm serious. You owe us another meeting." And he said, after a minute or so, me just holding onto his hand, not letting it go, it made him really uncomfortable. And that's what it was supposed to do. But he agreed to meet with us again. So our work there is not finished. He's still got lots of work to do. But it takes money and time, and I'm a pretty busy guy.
But you will meet again.
Oh, we're gonna meet again, and we're gonna set the record straight. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
We have to. We have to, so we can move on.
Yeah.
It's just like the residential school experiences. That settlement. People were saying there's all kinds of problems with financial settlement and stuff like that. But what it did is it set the stage for us to be able to move on
Mm-hmm.
and accept it. It's imperfect. There is no perfect agreement.
No.
No.
None. No such thing. But and I know some of the survivors are saying, well, it should be worth more money than that, for the individual survivors. Yeah, sure, I agree with that. But both my parents went there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's intergenerational impacts. I didn't expect any money. I can stand on my own 2 feet.